Hello and welcome to Blackwood Engage Layout and another update on the layout. So this time round I have been continuing with the scenery on the other side of the layout. I have extended the removable back scene so that the back scene now runs right round the far side of the layout. I have started to build a retaining wall, and I have also managed to source a new supplier of overhead catenary portals. As many of you will be aware, Brass went out of business, stopped trading about a year ago, and I have been struggling to find suitable catenary portals that would match in with the existing Brass ones I have. So I'll explain later in the video as to who's actually making some portals that actually do match in. So let's crack on with the video. In the last update I obviously concentrated on building this rock cutting, and at the back of it, obviously I have a back scene, and as I showed in the last video, that back scene is totally removable. But the back scene obviously came along and it simply ended at the end of the rock cutting. So I have been working away on the continuation of the scene along this back end of the layout. And first of all, you'll see that I have been constructing a retaining wall which comes along as far as there. That's the next section, which requires to be covered with the engineering brick paper, which is from Scale Model Scenery. At the back you will see some wooden pegs, that is to support the back scene, and you will see some offcuts of 3mm ply, and that's simply so that I can actually fix the back scene to something rigid, because obviously it can't fix onto the removable back scene. Now this retaining wall that you can see there, which obviously starts roughly from the end of the rock face, it comes around, there'll probably be another one section, two sections there, and then from here round, that will in actual fact be a steep embankment which will run up. In addition to putting in the removable back scene, which I will slot in very shortly, you'll see there's a grey post there, and if I come out you'll see that is another lighting unit. If I come round this side, you'll see I did exactly the same on this side, and it's just to give extra light down on this side of the actual layout. So what I'll do now is I will put the back scene in, and it will give you an idea of what this area is going to start to look like. Right, I have put that back scene in, and as you can see, it is a continuation. It's the same back scene, it's a continuation from the one that was behind the rock face. So it comes right the way round. If I just pan round there, right the way round, and actually finishes right on the back end of the layout. If I come back a little bit, it will give you some idea of the size of this back scene. That is one single back scene from the far side there all the way around. So obviously it just changes as soon as you put something like that in. It just totally changes the whole vista of the actual layout. The one other thing that I have been doing is I've been starting on track detailing, because obviously all the track work on this side right round has now been painted, because in the last video the track painting ended just round at these points here, but it has now been extended all the way around The junction here is completely painted and it's all ballasted as well, round as far as you can see there. So as I say, in this area here, this is going to be quite a steep embankment that's obviously going to run up, and it will join on with the greenery at the top, and then that embankment will then obviously run into this retaining wall. The reason the retaining wall's here is there's not a huge amount of space between the retaining wall and the higher ground level. If I come in here, you'll get an idea. It is very, very small slither of ground. So that'll probably mostly be bushes along here, overgrowing and hanging down on the actual wall. Again, you can see the cable trunking has started to go in. These are all the bits and pieces that need to be done before I fix stuff actually physically in. So that, in terms of the scenery work, that's what I've actually been doing over the last 4 weeks, making these individual sections. And you'll also notice these individual sections of this retaining wall, they actually do lean back. There is quite a steep lean-to, if you like, so that it's going to give the impression that it's really holding back quite a substantial bit of ground. So to get these to sit in properly when they lean back, especially in a curve, takes a little bit of fettling, shall we say. So as I say, I've only got another couple sections to put in, and then I can start work on the embankment, quite a steep embankment round the rest of the actual curve. So in scenery wise, that's what I've been doing. But as I said at the start of the video, I've also been trying to search for somebody who can make overhead portals that will match in, if I come round here, with the ones that I have, which are made by, or were made by, N-Brass. So let's go and have a look and see what I come up with. Now, many of you will be aware that when I started to put the overhead catenary onto the layout, it was a mixture of the Dapol single masts and N-Brass. N-Brass was essentially being used for the overhead gantries and the half cantilever sections. Now, N-Brass produced two versions of catenary portals. They had light versions, and that is what is the camera's actually looking at the moment. That is a light version, so it's quite fine, it's quite delicate, and that was the version I decided to go with. But they also did a heavy version, which I'll bring in to shot just there. So as you can see, it's a bit chunkier, shall we say. It's still to scale, but as you can see, that's the heavy portals. But as I say, I decided to go with the light portal, so that's the smaller one. With N-Brass no longer being in business, while I did buy some extra kits before they closed up, the issue that I had was that I would not have enough kits to complete the entire layout. Now, I thought that West Hill Wagon Works were kind of riding to my rescue, because they obviously announced that they were going to start producing N-gauge as well as double O-gauge catenary masts and portals. So when the N-gauge versions came out, I was very keen to get my hands on them. But while they are exceptionally well made, there's nothing wrong with the way in which they're made. And if you were starting out and you had no overhead catenary portals, then they would be absolutely fine. The unfortunate thing is they are more akin to the N-Brass heavy portals. If I bring in to shot here, that is West Hill Wagons Works overhead portal, or it's a cantilever section, I should say. Now, as you can see, it is not as fine. If I bring that back in, it's not as fine as the light portal. It's chunkier, and if I take the light portal out of the way and I bring back in the N-Brass heavy portal, It's more akin to that. That being said, it is actually bigger than the Enbrass portal, the heavy portal. Not by much, but it is actually bigger. Now the problem is that when I took this here and put it onto the layout, and bearing in mind the leg obviously is not that length, I was trying to do a bit of modification to it, which I failed. But when I put this on, it just did not look right on the layout. When you looked at the rest of the portals, which were obviously more akin to that, this almost looked as though you would have said, why is Ewan put double O gauge portals onto an N gauge layout? That was the issue that I had. So I thought at that point that maybe I would have to try and manufacture my own overhead portals. But luckily, a number of weeks ago, I happened to come across a social media post from another N-Gauge channel, which I think, if I remember correctly, is Oxley Central. And the gentleman there was obviously wanting to put up overhead catenary masts, and of course he was lauding the fact that Enbrass no longer existed. And he very luckily found another company called 3D Wagon Works. And I'll just bring in that so that you can actually see 3D Wagon Works. So here is 3D Wagon Works and their overhead portal. The kit comes with the registration arms. They are separate, they are supplied separately so that you can obviously fix them to where they need to be above the tracks. The actual registration arms themselves are exceptionally fine in detail. They are not chunky. They actually match in with the registration arms that Enbrass do, and similarly they're as fine as the ones that Dapple do on their single masts. So absolutely top notch, can't complain about that. They are finer than I think the ones that West Hill Wagon Works do. The actual portal itself, as you can see, it's a lattice construction, which is quite common on the West Coast Main Line, and up here in and around the Glasgow area you see these, they're 10 a penny to be honest with you. If I bring in the Enbrass light portal, now you will see that it is heavier, it is heavier than the light portal, and if I bring in the Enbrass heavy portal, which if I can try and bring it in so we get 3 in shot here, you will probably pick up, although it's quite difficult, but the 3D Printworks version is not as heavy as the Enbrass one. It's actually basically it's a halfway house between the Enbrass light and the Enbrass heavy portal. So this one here that I'm holding in my hand, 3D Wagon Works version, it does not look out of place on the actual layout. The other thing, if I move that one out of the way so I can put that back down here, the other thing they also do is there is a base moulded onto the bottom of the catenary portal, and it has a small recess where you can put in a small magnet so that you can, just the same way as West Hill Wagon Works have, you can have a portal that will stand up being held by the magnets so that it's easy enough to lift, and if you knock it, it will just spring back into position. So what I'll actually do is I've fitted magnets to the bottom of this, and I've actually fitted some magnets onto the actual baseboard. So I'll fit this back on and you'll see what it actually looks like on the actual layout. I've put the 3D Wagon Works portal on the layout where it is actually going to go, and you'll also see the Enbrass light portal is just sitting in here. So the first thing is, it doesn't look, the 3D Wagonworks portal does not look out of place. It certainly fits the part, and of course it is held with magnets, and if I move this forward as though I've knocked it and let go, it springs back. Absolutely fantastic. And obviously for cleaning purposes, I can obviously remove it off the magnets, take it out, and then it will find its own place back on the actual layout, because the magnets obviously draw the portal to them. So I am exceptionally pleased with this particular portal, so much so that I have actually asked 3D Wagonworks to produce me some cantilever portals. That's the half version here, and they are currently working on these, and they will probably go round the curve here as we curve round, or along the back end of the layout. But I think you'll agree that these are well produced or well made items from 3D Wagonworks. hope you enjoyed that 5 or 6 minute running session that we've just had. It's always great to see the trains actually running through some realistic scenery. So I'll bring this update to a close, and hopefully the next time I report on the layout, this back corner might be more or less finished. Hopefully it will be, if it's not finished, it'll be very close to it. So many thanks for watching, and if you can give me a thumbs up, please do, because it obviously helps the channel. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to tick that subscribe button. So with that, take care, and I'll catch everyone very, very soon.